Okay, so this will be my third attempt to tell this story. Um, and I was started to tell a story about my cousin Eddie and a workmate of his when they did some electrical work at Gerbo's Steakhouse in Smiths Falls, and I was unable to complete it because the phone ran out of time on me or something, or shut down on me or something. And so this will be that story now. I just tried to do it again, and the phone again shut down on me before I got finished. My cousin Eddie would have been my dad's first cousin. He was my second cousin, so he was older than I was. He just passed away not too long ago. He died from a disease called mesothelioma, which was from exposure to asbestos in his work, because as an electrician he was exposed to a lot of asbestos over the years. And anyway, it's a type of cancer, a lung cancer, that's brought on through exposure to asbestos, and it's a common thing with mechanics because the brake linings, old mechanics would get it, electricians would get it, different people that worked around where they were exposed to asbestos fibers would get it. Anyway, that's what did my cousin Eddie in, anyway, was mesothelioma. Terrible disease. But anyway, on with the show. I'm going to tell you the story now. My cousin Eddie and a workmate of his were doing some electrical wiring in the basement of Gerbo's Steakhouse in Smiths Falls, Ontario, Canada, in the early 1970s. This is back when Eddie was just a young electrician starting out. Anyway, he and this other fellow were doing the wiring in the basement. The fellow who owned Gerbo's Steakhouse, he was a Greek man, and at that time he was still a young man. He'd be old now, but he was young back then, and he had a beautiful young wife. And his wife was working in the kitchen upstairs. Well, my cousin Eddie's workmate took a liking to the restaurant owner's wife, and he kept making excuses to go upstairs and talk to her and flirt with her. This didn't go unnoticed by the man who owned the restaurant and was her husband. He didn't think very much of that anyway, and I can't say I blame him. You don't go around flirting with women, married women. And my cousin Eddie's workmate was wrong to have done that. Anyway, after it had happened a few times that the man had gone upstairs and flirted with the owner's wife, the restaurant owner came downstairs. He stood on the bottom step, looked directly at my cousin Eddie's workmate, who had been flirting with his wife, and he very calmly, didn't raise his voice or anything, just looked at him, and he very calmly said, "I know a man who will kill you for $25. And then he just went up the stairs. That was that. Anyway, that put an end to that fella's flirtation with the other man's wife. Anyway, that put an end to it. That sent a chill right through the guy, and it put an end to it. He decided that flirting with that fella's wife wasn't worth losing his life, and in all likelihood, that Greek fella was telling the truth. He probably did know someone who would do the job for $25. So, like I say, and he'd probably have considered it money well spent, too. So, that was it anyway. And, but just very calmly, he didn't raise his voice. He just looked at him. He said, "I know a man who will kill you for $25. And then he just went upstairs and continued on with his business, and there was no more problems anyway with inappropriate flirtations in the kitchen. Anyway, that's just the story my cousin Eddie told me years ago about something he remembered from when he was starting out as an electrician in the early 1970s. I came up here to the truck to upload these videos because the Smiths Falls video and some others too, because um, the Wi-Fi isn't working very well down at my camp right now. I'm too far away from the router, and when the weather gets warm, the signal doesn't travel the same as it does when it's cold in the wintertime. And especially inside my camper,